All right, welcome back into 610 Football. I'm your host, Darren Healy. My next guest needs no introduction. He's currently the receivers coach at Russ High School in Texas, and he's been a part of at least 12 NFL teams, former NFL quarterback Josh McCown. Josh, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, Darren. Thanks for having me on, bro.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you coming on. So you've been in the NFL, or you were in the NFL for over 15 years, played for a variety of teams. When did you really know that your career was going to be a backup quarterback?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think around probably year 7 or 8, and you realize, you start to cross over and you realize, the chances to be somebody's franchise quarterback. I have made a couple starts in Arizona, made a couple starts in Oakland, and so started to see the writing on the wall, as far as that chance to take a team, really take off with the team, and didn't play up to really the standards that I hoped for. And sometimes those things are circumstantial, and that a lot of it's timing and where you go, so I'm sitting there in 2009, finishing my second year with the Panthers, backing up Jake Delhomme. I come in for just like 5 snaps and get hurt, finish the year on IR. And so no real tape, film to speak of for the last 2 years. And so the phone didn't ring in the spring, was out of the league, ended up coaching high school ball the year that I was out in North Carolina, and really enjoyed doing that part. And I think once I got a chance to get back in with the Chicago Bears, my whole mindset had shifted from like trying to climb the ladder and be the top and be the franchise quarterback to, what can I do to help a team, and what can I do to serve a team and bring value to that team. And coaching gave me a great perspective in my ability to do that. And so I tried to approach every job that way. And, the funny thing was, when I finally did play again in Chicago in 2013, I played the best football I'd ever played. And I think it, had a lot to do with having a fresh perspective, having a coach's perspective, allowed me to grow as a player. So I would say, kind of middle of my career, 08, 09, kind of almost, 7, 8 years into it was really the turning point for me, where I was like, you know what, I'm not going to be a starter, but I can carve out a career as a backup. And certainly, didn't think I was going to keep playing as long as I have. It's been a very fun ride, and I'm very thankful for that.
So you mentioned having a coach's perspective really helped with being a backup quarterback. What other techniques and strategies did you use to be a successful quarterback?
Well, you think about plays, and when you talk about learning an offensive system, when you're coaching, you stop at the sideline. The player goes out there, he's got to play, and you got to transfer the information to him as best as possible so that he can go execute. Well, what I learned is when I was studying it and learning how to do that for that player, I was learning it better. So when I got back in as a player, one of those things I kept with me was my study habits as a coach. And I thought, I'm going to study the plays and learn the plays as if I had to coach them. And for me in Chicago, it was helping whoever the starting quarterback was, particularly Jay Cutler at those times. And I'm going to learn these plays so that I can be an asset to him if he has questions about it or whatever. And then, Jay, takes an injury, unfortunately, and I get in there and play. And I play the best ball I ever played. And I'm going, man, why? And I felt like, there's these unknown kind of reasons why I know where to go to football. Like, I don't remember thinking about that, but I remember studying it that way, and I was just playing so much faster and processing so much faster. So I think for me, that was the biggest key, was looking at the game at a different perspective, studying it as a coach would study it. And it really helped me learn how I needed to learn to better understand the plays and better execute.
So we talked about your career. Let's talk about some of the current backup quarterbacks. But before I do that, I want to give you a little bit of trivia. So you played with the Oakland Raiders in 2007. Who was your leading receiver on that team?
What Good question. 2007. I'm going to have to go with Ronald Curry.
Correct.
Ronald Curry, quarterback's coach for the Saints right now?
Yes, that was going to be my next question. He's currently the quarterback coach for the New Orleans Saints, coaching Trevor Siemian, who's been playing some pretty good football so far this year as a backup role. So being teammates with Ronald Curry, what can you tell me that he's implementing to make Siemian play as well as he is?
Well, I'll tell you this about RC, a great student of the game, okay? Was a great high school athlete, as if anybody that knows Ronald Curry can remember, and actually played quarterback in college at the University of North Carolina, played basketball there as well. So he's a well-rounded person. okay, and been coaching receivers with the Saints, and now goes into, and getting to be around Drew Brees and watch Drew operate, and now he steps into the quarterback room. He's in there with Sean Payton and Pete Carmichael, two brilliant quarterback minds. And so I guarantee you, Ron's adding a perspective to those quarterbacks, especially coming from a receiver standpoint, but from a guy who's played quarterback, that is much needed for those guys. And I know he's helping them, and especially Trevor. Trevor's played some really good football. He's played a lot of football in his career, and he's played some really good football lately. He knows how to operate in a system, and like I was saying, you get to that point in your career, especially as a veteran player like Trevor is, and like I was mentioning about myself, where you kind of know who you are and who you aren't, and how to play within a system. And there's no better place for him to be than the New Orleans Saints, who have a well-rounded system, who can craft the plays that fit his skill set, put it together for him, and then no better person in that quarterback room than Ronald Curry to be sitting there with him, kind of giving him kind of the history of those plays as it pertains to the New Orleans Saints. So Trevor's in a really good spot. I'm envious, to be at a place like that for him in his career. I look for good things down the stretch, with him and the Saints.
And I'm actually happy that you mentioned the New Orleans Saints system. So when it comes to being a backup quarterback and you see them having success, how much of the success is from the pure talent of the quarterback as opposed to the system and the scheme that coaches are implementing?
Well, I would say relative to backup quarterbacks, it's very dependent on the system, because by nature and inherent in being a backup, unless you're a first round pick that's waiting to play type of backup. But if you're kind of a career backup, there's probably something in your skill set that's lacking, or you'd be a starter. And so the system that's in place and that's around you, and the players that are around you, can allow you to thrive. Again, if you've reached that point in your career where you go, this is what I'm good at, this is what I'm not good at. I can make these throws, I can't make these throws. And then you have coaches that are around you going, okay, we're gonna take our system that we know well and we're gonna gear it to your skill set. I think that's when a backup can elevate his play. And like I said, to do it with Sean Payton and Pete Carmichael and Ronald Curry, I think that's great for Trevor. I think you'll get the best out of him because they're so quarterback adept at New Orleans. And I think I look, over the course of, different years of my career and of guys playing as backups, and the knowledge of the system and the way that they play in that system is huge as far as it goes for their success.
So let's stick in the NFC South. Cam Newton just re-signed with the Carolina Panthers. I remember watching an NFL Films little feature on you when you're with the New York Jets. You said, aside from packing boxes, your best attribute is learning an offensive playbook quickly. What can Cam Newton do to learn the Panthers' offensive playbook quickly?
Man, I think it's you got to find, phone a friend. You got to get a study buddy. And you start quizzing yourself, whatever, and that's what I mean. Learn how you learn, okay? Whatever that style is. If it's, years ago, I've put the play on Madden, put them in the playbook, and it helped me remember the plays, drawing them that way, writing the plays down over and over again ad nauseum. I think everybody's different. Some guys are just flipping through the book and looking at it repeatedly. So everybody's different, and I think that's the thing for Cam is to get in and go, and you kind of have to cut ties with what you did. I think a lot of times guys will go, oh, this is that play in my former system, and it works for a little bit, but then eventually there's so much of the new system that there's not enough crossover and it can get confusing. So just cut ties with your former system mentally, start from a blank slate and go, I'm going to learn this for what it is. And it's, for me, it was a lot of writing and a lot of flashcards.
But Josh, thank you so much for coming on. Best of luck this Friday for the playoffs. Hopefully you guys will be able to make it to States. Thank you all for watching. For 610 Football, I'm your host, Darren Healy, and I'll see you all next time.